for a few years now, and I can see, in my own circles, there is a lot of loyal customers. And then because we work with Umar as well, although they're a smaller, relatively smaller company, they're not a startup per se, but it's a small company, but the pain he takes in terms of making sure that the customer refunds are processed immediately, every customer that has an issue is resolved. So that's impressive. So we have two ends of the spectrum. And to kick off, I think what I'd like to do is, and we can start with the US and maybe talk a little bit about what we were touching upon initially. In this pandemic, there's a couple of things. एक तो ये है कि we've all had to shift our processes, our own ways of work, employee expectations, customer expectations, and then you have call centers, etc. So there has been a major business continuity effort. And the second thing, which I just find interesting, because a lot of deliveries that come to my house, a lot of deliveries that I see that friends are getting, and then there's always this question that how are you ensuring SOPs, and how long should the parcel wait in the quarantine zone before we bring it inside? So we can start with SN, get your thoughts, and then to Umar, and then move on to the next topic.
Yeah, I think first of all, thank you very much for having me, and I think it's been a very interesting shift. And Umar and I were previously talking about this just before the recording started, but the consumer mindset and buying behaviors have dramatically shifted in the last few months. So what we noticed in the first weeks, I would say, of the lockdown starting in March, is that when we had to stop all deliveries, we had to, for the first time, we had to turn off over 22,000 sellers that sell on Daraz, which became, obviously it was a big challenge for us, not because of the business stopping, but because really there were 22,000 homes that were being run out of our platform, and we had to sort of pull the plug on those. And what we realized is when we reintroduced the essentials category, and we had to innovate very quickly in these times. So we introduced something called DMart, which is our grocery channel, and we built it up very quickly in the days after the lockdown started, because obviously there was a natural demand. We saw about a 55 to 60% growth in the grocery business, and about an 8 to 9x growth in our fresh produce business. And the idea was, how do we start really catering to the changing mindset of the customer, as well as the changing behavior of the customer? So the second innovation we did there was we introduced something called Daraz First Games, which now is a fully robust gaming platform on Daraz, where you can win thousands of rupees and claim that towards purchases on Daraz. And the idea was that people were not buying, but they were still a desire to be entertained. And I had so many of my friends that were challenging each other on Ludo Star, and I was actually I was watching the Google report recently, and it was very interesting about the growth Ludo Star had this year versus last year, because people wanted to be entertained. And the idea of Daraz in these times, more so even than before, was to how do we evolve towards shoppertainment? And it's not just shopping that's necessary for customers, but you need to focus on entertainment so that you can bring them back again and again and again. Because if you're just a shopping platform, what we noticed is that it's a very transactional relationship. I need, you provide, and that's it, we move on. And I think with having an entertainment element to it, what we realized is that it became more of an ecosystem. And so that was the first part. And the second part, immediately when the pandemic happened, we realized, obviously, not only were customer expectations different, but we had three stakeholders we really had to manage carefully. One is the employees, second was our customers, and third was the sellers. So for the employees, what we did is immediately on actually March 10th, so before the lockdown, we actually closed our offices because there was a case in an office close by, and it was actually on a half an hour notice we found out, and we decided to close it. And the idea was that we're a tech company, we should be able to log in the next morning and just keep going. And to my actual pleasant surprise, we logged in the next morning, and things have just been going steadily since, alhamdulillah. And then so second, when I look at, and I'll get to the customers in the end, because I also want to talk about the sellers. And on the seller side, like I said, there was over 22,000 sellers, and we said, okay, now you can no longer sell. And in a time where the whole world was going towards e-commerce, we were shutting down e-commerce, and that really hurt a lot of the SMEs in this economy. And at the end of the day, this economy is, and in fact, most successful economies are built on SME. And then when we turned off a lot of the SME segment here, what we did at Daraz is we launched a program called the Daraz Hum Qadam program, where for the month of May and June, we didn't charge any commissions for small, medium businesses. We educated them for free on Daraz University, and we subsidized a lot of things that we wouldn't have otherwise to get them up and running. And alhamdulillah, that saw significant growth. And then finally, on the customer side, obviously, like you said, you're very worried, and it actually occurred to me when I had my first post lockdown package arrive, and I was stressed out. And then I said, okay, well, if I'm stressed out, then everyone must be stressed out. So then we actually, just the same way, we implemented super tight SOPs in terms of the disinfection of all of the vehicles that were being used by Dex Heroes. We have 2,500 Dex Heroes, mashallah, across the country. All of their vehicles, all of the 50 hubs we have across the country were being disinfected daily. Our hubs were being disinfected. We had tight SOPs, and we have these FBI-like cameras that are in every single hub across the country. And we had dedicated a team that said, now you just need to watch and make sure that there is no one is coming within 6 feet. And if they do, we actually started, penalizing them financially to make sure that everyone adhered to strict SOPs. And then finally, for the customers, what we did is we made sure our heroes were wearing their masks, the gloves, and they were actually wiping down each package with an alcohol swab, which is actually not something that's necessary, that actually even the WHO has recommended, because the virus doesn't necessarily survive on parcels. But we sort of felt, or at least felt that I felt more comfortable when a package was coming and it was being handled this way. So we decided to do it for everyone.
No, and I can personally vouch for this last mile, because I've had a couple of deliveries coming from Daraz, and then of course there are other services or other logistics companies as well. And I always ask them, because of my own work and interest. And anybody from Daraz Express almost always has a mask on, so that's pretty impressive feat to achieve. So I think we can now have listen to Umar, because he has a different business model, works out of a different city as well, and has a supply chain where manufacturing is involved as well. So Umar, आप यहाँ कैसे manage कर रहे हैं आप?
So यार हम लोग का for example, like when we started off, मुझे नहीं पता कराची में क्या था, फैसलाबाद के अंदर तो बड़ी अनसर्टेनिटी थी. हम लोग को गवर्नमेंट के SOPs आ गए कि जी जितनी भी फैक्ट्रीज हैं we're gonna shut them down. तो हम लोग तो पहले ये एक हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ी बैटल थी, because ELO is in a premises of a factory. So we had to like for like 10 days to 2 weeks we didn't have any कि हम लोगों ने इसको खोलना किस तरह, इसकी permissions किस तरह. We figured that out. We got all the permissions and we started working again. फिर जब हम लोगों ने काम करना शुरू किया तो the main hurdle was getting the employees to realize that corona is a real threat. Because for us, most of our jo staff hai wo to yaar jo office ke andar baithne wala banda hai, he understands. But we work with a lot of people who work in the warehouse. Unko hum logon ne wo temperature control, hazmats bana diya, sara kuch kar diya, but they were still आप समझे कि जब वो ऑफिस के अंदर आ गए या बिल्डिंग के अंदर आ गए तो उनकी जो इंटरेक्शन है एक दूसरे से कि डोंट हाई फाइव या तालियां ना मारो या एक दूसरे के साथ इतना क्लोजली ना बैठो, दैट वाज रियली हार्ड फॉर अस. तो उसके लिए आप ये समझें कि जो असेंबली टाइप लेक्चर्स देने पड़े कि द नंबर्स आर राइजिंग, दिस इज अ थ्रेट, we have to take care of ourselves and we have to take care of the customers as well. Supplier side के ऊपर भी यही था कि बड़ा haphazard scene था और उनके भी प्रोटोकॉल्स हम लोग को सेटअप करने पड़े, बिकॉज वी वेयर हाउस एवरीथिंग इन आवर प्रेमिसेस इन फैसलाबाद. नथिंग इज ड्रॉप शिप्ड, किसी और वेयर हाउस में नहीं है. वी जस्ट हैव वन प्रेमिसेस एंड एवरीथिंग कम्स इनटू आवर वेयर हाउस, वी इंस्पेक्ट इट एंड देन वी रैक इट इन आवर वेयर हाउस एंड देन वी शिप इट आउट. तो वो सप्लायर्स के भी बहुत ज्यादा SOPs थे, प्रोटोकॉल्स थे. वी डिडंट अलाउ एनीवन टू कम इन. वो उसकी प्री स्क्रीनिंग थी, CNIC के बगैर, रजिस्ट्री के बगैर nobody could come into the office. और वो जो हम लोगों ने मास्क वगैरह फैक्ट्री के अंदर प्रोटोकॉल्स बनाए दैट यू कैन नॉट कम टू द फैक्ट्री विदाउट वेयरिंग अ मास्क. तो उस चीज के ऊपर यार बहुत ज्यादा हम लोगों ने कोरोना के ऊपर एक आप समझेंगे शुरू था कि हम लोग अपनी जो इंटरनल SOPs हैं, क्योंकि इधर इतना ज्यादा बंदा काम कर रहा है, we have like about 1800 people working in the factory. So the threat was too big for us that if somebody gets infected, बहुत काम खराब होना था, पूरी फैक्ट्री बंद हो जानी थी. तो फिर हम लोगों ने सबसे पहले तो यार ये इंश्योर किया कि कोरोना डजंट कम इनटू द फैक्ट्री. और उसी के ऊपर काम करते रहे. And फिर उसके बाद what happened was that it was March, uncertainty थी, website भी बंद हुई थी, like we were not delivering because the couriers were not coming into the factory. Then we opened up in April, or there was a huge surge in sales because all the stores were closed, nobody was going to the stores, तो हम लोगों को capacity building के ऊपर काफी काम करना पड़ा. So we had to actually hire more people to do the fulfillments. So because there was such a surge in the sales. तो उसके ऊपर फिर बहुत ज्यादा काम करना पड़ा कि यार नए बंदे आ रहे हैं, उनकी ट्रेनिंग करनी पड़ी, उनके लिए नए SOPs, rehiring, इस तरह के काफी ज्यादा काम हुए in the design department, in the photo department. And then at that time I also had an office in Lahore which we recently closed because corona tha, nobody was coming into the office in Lahore. So we shut down that office like on 30th of June actually, yesterday. और फिर अभी हम लोगों ने फैसलाबाद में दोबारा से we have moved back our like जो creative team है, they're all working from home since March. तो अब वो सारा एक और चीज थी कि we opened up an office in Lahore in January, and then we had to वो सारा का सारा मार्च के अंदर work from home हो गया. तो उसको भी हैंडल करना बड़ा मुश्किल था कि we just had that office for 2 months, and then we had कि सारे बंदों को वर्क फ्रॉम होम करवाया. तो उसके भी हम लोगों ने कभी इस तरह का काम नहीं किया हुआ था. इट वाज अ न्यू टीम, इट वाज अ न्यू ऑफिस, तो उसको भी बड़ा मुश्किल से कंट्रोल करना पड़ा. और फिर कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के ऊपर ही काम किया यार कि ऑर्डर्स टाइम पे पहुंचे. एंड देन वी हैव बीन वर्किंग वेरी क्लोजली विद द लॉजिस्टिक्स कंपनीज दैट एवरीथिंग गेट्स ऑन टाइम, और उसकी एफिशिएंसीज के ऊपर ही काम कर रहे हैं. एंड it has been hard, but we see there are so many opportunities. For example, just Daraz Heroes with Dex. I think there is a big opportunity with a sophisticated courier service coming in, because customer corona ho na ho, they want on-time delivery, and there have been a massive. आप ये कह सकते हो कि courier companies के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा load आया है, but they were not able to increase the capacities as they should have, because unko business mila, but they should have been more proactive, which they have failed. And I think there is such a gap कि हम लोगों को इस चीज के ऊपर फोकस करना चाहिए. Like for example, फैसलाबाद में ऑर्डर आता है, it takes 5 days 6 days to deliver an order in फैसलाबाद, which is ridiculous. तो इन चीजों के ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा काम करना पड़ा. We had to be very proactive with the customer service because our customers are very उनको आदत पड़ चुकी है कि 2 दिन में डिलीवरी मिलनी है. And when they are getting an order in like 7 days or 10 days for some places, it's been very hard because customer support has been on their toes ever since corona. Because थोड़ा सा डिले होता है, हमें फोन आ जाता है, यार फलाने का तो ऑर्डर आ गया, आपका क्यों नहीं आ रहा. तो भी उस चीज को स्ट्रीमलाइन कर रहे हैं कि कस्टमर सपोर्ट और डिलीवरी सर्विसेज इकट्ठे जो भी कम्युनिकेशन हो रही है वो कस्टमर को हम ऑन टाइम रियल टाइम बता सकें कि आपका पार्सल कहाँ है. क्योंकि हम लोग भी जब कहते हैं ना जी वो कुरियर के पास है, कुरियर ने डिलीवर नहीं किया, तो वी हैव बीन वर्किंग अ लॉट on getting the real information in real time, because we don't want customer to like wait for 24 hours for their parcel update. We want to give it to them right away. तो उसके ऊपर हम बहुत ज्यादा फोकस कर रहे हैं कि कस्टमर सर्विसेज के ऊपर, and just making sure that their parcels get delivered on time and it's clean and sanitized and everything is as per as it should be.
So I think two things are that come out. दोनों आप लोगों ने जो बातें की हैं, एक तो I think Umar, what you're saying that you weren't ready for this. I don't think anybody was ready for this. I mean, some of us in different corporations may have business continuity plans on paper and fire drills and disaster recovery sites, but the suddenness of the crisis, I think nobody was prepared for it, and it's impressive जो आप दोनों बता रहे हैं, especially with like Essen said, setting up Daraz Games and DMart, और आप जो बता रहे हैं in terms of logistics. So that is impressive, and I think एक चीज जो miss होती है सारी conversation में, these guys on the front lines, the last mile, whether they're owned by Daraz or outsourced courier companies, they're actually playing a very essential role in this time. There are riders who work with you guys in a more formal e-commerce fashion. Then there are riders who are delivering for food delivery services. There are riders who are delivering for local karyani ki dukaan and the mom and pop store around the corner. So I think hats off to them. कि while I agree with you, there are challenges, but अगर ये हिम्मत हार जाते तो फिर तो जिंदगी और मुश्किल हो जाती. But the other thing that I find interesting is, when we really want to, or when everybody gets together, we can actually initiate and shape customer behavior or human behavior, because this has actually, there's a lot of examples. आप पूरी value chain में देखें, so at the core there's major behavior change, and that brings me to my the main topic of the agenda for today. Depending on which report you read, the e-commerce market in Pakistan is estimated to be between between $1 billion to $4 billion. So, like I said, SM, depending on which report we read. And then recently there's an e-commerce index which says that Daraz pay more than 30% payments are now digital payments. So, sorry, Ehsan, aap kuch keh rahe the?
Sorry, I couldn't hear your question. Can you repeat it one more time?
No, I was just saying that there was this e-commerce index report recently which says that 32% of payments on Daraz, or 30% plus payments on Daraz, are now actually through digital instruments, whether that's a card or a wallet, etc. And the same report also says that jo mobile wallet, digital wallet transactions, they've gone up by almost as much as eight times.
Yeah.
What we've seen at EasyPaisa, hamari, for example, interbank transfers have increased by 300%. We have our online shopping, people who used to pay or who are paying for their online shopping through wallets has gone up by 20-25%. The activity within our app has gone up by 30 to 40% for the more high frequency use cases. So the question really is that it looks like there is an opportunity here somewhere where online shopping की तो preference बढ़ ही रही है, but there is an opportunity where we can also help increase the financial and digital inclusion for at least this segment that we serve together.
Yeah.
So I know that we can talk about all day for all the issues that are hampering this change, but then starting from Ehsan, what do you think is that we can tap into as an opportunity to further propel this adoption of digital payments when people are buying from your platform or from Umar's platform or other e-commerce platforms out there?
Yeah. So first of all, I'll let the audience know why it's important to have digital payments, right? Because it's a customer may not know what is the importance of digital payments on e-commerce. So the difference between if a product is ordered through a digital payment versus if a product is ordered on COD, the success rate difference is more than 10%. So if it's prepaid, that means अगर आप घर पे नहीं आप बोलेंगे यार ये जो product है आप राइडर या हीरो को बोलेंगे आप घर पे ही छोड़ दें, कोई घर पे होगा उनके साथ छोड़ दें या मेरे नेबर के साथ छोड़ दें. But if it's a COD, अगर आप घर पे पैसे छोड़ना भूल गए, so then it's a failed delivery, which increases the cost for the logistics companies. They go back and then it comes back and then they go back and they come try again. So that's why e-commerce companies are interested in digital payments. Just for everyone's clarity, and then I'll talk about sort of how we can make it to the level of COD. So today, like you said, about 32% of orders last year for Daraz were through digital payments. Huge increase in wallet adoption. और इसमें ये हमने किया था कि हमने Jazz Cash और EasyPaisa दोनों को we had them integrated, so it was easy for customers to do the transaction. Now today, when I look at a card payment internationally versus locally, there's a few elements that actually need to be done in order to make digital payments adoption the same. One is digital payments cannot cost more than cash. And today, digital payments have a significantly higher cost than cash. Now, if I give you 100 rupees, you take that 100 rupees, you give it to the next guy, it's still 100 rupees. वो 100 rupees बस 100 rupees रहते हैं. But in a digital payment, if I have 100 rupees, then I take out a few rupees, then the next guy takes out a few rupees, and the next guy takes out a few rupees. And if you really want digital payments to thrive, you need to make sure that the cost barrier is not there. It should not be a thought in your mind that, but of course that doesn't come, I mean, that's not a, that's also wishful thinking because there's costs associated with having this. But I'm saying in order to really get to that point, you need to have the same sort of cost barriers that people have, or you make up for it with some elements. So for us, for example, I might say, okay, I don't mind paying a little bit more, but I know the success rate is higher, so I save on my logistics cost, right? So there's some sort of element. Second is the ease of use. Now, today, if I have my credit card, debit card, I have to go through multiple hoops like OTP, and if I have a Visa or MasterCard card that I've used, refunds can take up to 35, 40 days. That's not okay. You need to make sure that and Umar talked about this, is that customer is first. This is, everything has to be, if you don't put yourself in the shoe of the customer, then it will not, we will not be able to make digital payments the most prominent. How do we do it today? We do it through discounting. Is that the sustainable way of doing it? No, it's not. You cannot just outspend for forever, right? You need to make sure that the economics make sense, but the sensibility of it makes sense. That it's as easy for me to use a card or a debit card or EasyPesa or JazzCash or any method that's a digital payment versus cash. And it's also because we don't realize the inherent costs associated with cash. There's a lot of hidden costs associated with cash, right? If a rider has cash, he gets mugged, there's insurance costs. It's there's so many costs of, for example, if he needs to go deposit it somewhere, and then there's no transparency with cash. Cash is like it's a black box in many ways, right? You have no idea where it comes from, where it goes. So for the customer, it's super important that not only e-commerce companies, but regulators as well, really focus on those two elements. Ease of use for the customer. It has to be just as easy as cash, if not easier. And it should not cost more than cash. It should be one that it actually makes sense for every single organization. And there's a lot of ways regulators can do it. Recently, in Punjab, they instituted that retailers who actually have digital payments through cards will have a lower tax, right? And that's the way we, as regulators, it should actually be across wallets as well, and it should be across the whole country, because we should encourage people to actually bring digital payment options for the customers, and then we encourage the customers because the cost is more advantageous for them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Umar, you agree? You have anything
Very
to
well
add?
put. मेरा ख्याल है सारे points cover किए हैं एसन ने, and I would say the same कि यार, for example, if you're using a digital payment method, it's actually, आपको पता ही है पाकिस्तान में white income और black income के बड़े issues हैं, and you need to incentivize that as well कि यार आप credit card use कर रहे हो तो आपकी tax net के अंदर तो आ रहे हो ना यार, white income तो यूज कर रहे हो ना, पता तो चल रहा है ना, गवर्नमेंट आपको पकड़ तो सकती है, वरना तो कैश के ऊपर करोड़ों रुपए की प्रॉपर्टीज लोग ले रहे हैं और ये सारा कुछ कर रहे हैं. तो आई थिंक देयर शुड बी अ लिंक टू दैट एज वेल. और आपकी ये जो इंसेंटिवाइज आपको इस तरह भी करना चाहिए क्रेडिट कार्ड को कि आपको टैक्स में थोड़ा सा रिलीफ मिले, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान के अंदर अगर आप एक वाइट इनकम बनाना चाह रहे हो, एक वाइट इकोनॉमी बनाना चाह रहे हो, हम लोग तो वैसे ही लूप होल्स में ढूंढते हैं. इधर तो पाकिस्तान में बंदा बैंक अकाउंट खोलने के लिए नहीं तैयार, आपको पता ही है यार. आधी इकोनॉमी के पास तो मेरे इतने नीचे बंदे काम करते हैं, वो सैलरी के ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं, उनके बैंक अकाउंट्स नहीं खुले होते. मेरा चौकीदार है, मेरा ड्राइवर है, मैं उसको कैश देता हूँ ना, उसका बैंक अकाउंट है. मैं खैर वो तो एक बहुत ही लो लेवल की बात कर रहा हूँ, बट बहुत से हमारे सप्लायर्स होते हैं जो कहते हैं नहीं जी आप हमें कैश पेमेंट करें, हमने बैंक के साथ काम नहीं करना. ठीक है, तो हम लोगों की तो फॉर्म हमेशा से ही डॉक्यूमेंटेशन से भागती है, तो क्रेडिट कार्ड वो क्यों यूज करेगी? तो सबसे पहले देयर इज अ फंडामेंटल इशू बिकॉज द पॉपुलेशन डजंट trust these institutions, because what they believe is कि आप जब ये अपने आप को एक रजिस्टर कर देते हो तो the government is going to bug you. ठीक है, इस वजह से लोग बैंक अकाउंट्स नहीं खोलते पाकिस्तान के अंदर, बिकॉज टैक्स वाले आ जाते, कोई ना कोई रौला बन जाता है. तो हम लोग इसको इंसेंटिवाइज करें, एंड डिस्काउंट इज इन अनदर वे. फॉर एग्जांपल आई गो टू एलांतो, आई गो टू दीस पॉश रेस्टोरेंट्स एंड ऑलवेज यूज माय क्रेडिट कार्ड बिकॉज मुझे डिस्काउंट मिलता है. तो कोई ना कोई इंसेंटिव मुझे मिलता है इस चीज का. तो हम लोगों ने भी कोई मैकेनिज्म लेके आना है, या जो इंडस्ट्री लीडर्स हैं, दे नीड टू सिट डाउन एंड इंसेंटिवाइज डिजिटल पेमेंट्स, और वो गवर्नमेंट के साथ बैठ के करें, बिकॉज इनकम तो आपकी वाइट हो रही है ना, इकोनॉमी आपकी, देयर इज जो रियल इकोनॉमी वो बन रही है आपकी, और उसको आप इन्वॉल्व कर रहे हो.
I think interesting. So basically, अगर मैं इसको if I break it down into if I summarize it, तो मैं तीन से चार बातें हम करेंगे. एक तो जो एसन ने touch what he touched upon, cost to the customer and cost to the merchant of cash versus a digital payment instrument. And dusra, I think equally or maybe even more important is the customer experience, which is a more broad term, jo Esan, the point that you raised, and not just for the customer. If he wants to make a payment, तो वो उसको कोई confusing journey में फंस के बजाय cart abandon करने के, it has to be something which is simpler, does not require too many hoops, and also the customer journey for the merchants or sellers. और तीसरी बात हम कर रहे हैं regulation या tax incentive or regulation that can help in motivate the sellers or the merchants or the actors involved in the value chain. And that also then links to the fourth thing, which is the oversight issues, जो कि, to be very honest, हम भी face करते हैं कुछ लोग. I think it's pertinent to sort of mention here what we at EasyPaisa have been doing about it. So I completely agree. नीचे वाले दो का तो हम आज की तारीख, when it requires heavier effort in terms of lobbying with the government and the regulator and more stuff that we should do together as an industry. But on the cost and customer experience component, so when it comes to mobile account cost, we're actually much cheaper than the credit card for the merchants. मतलब हम customer को तो we don't charge the customer, and we're much cheaper for the merchants. On the customer experience front, पिछले in the last 4 to 6 months, what we've done is कि एक तो ये है कि we've been trying extensively to simplify the customer experience. And Umar, me and you spoke about this as well. Some of the issues that you had faced in the past, वो उनको हम fix करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. We've taken your feedback. अगर आपको issue आ रहा है और sellers को, merchants को भी issue आ रहा होगा. On the customer front, so for example, now you go to the EasyPaisa app, and I think this is also available with the other digital apps as well. You can actually just add your card to the EasyPaisa app, which means is कि अगर मैं export leftovers की website पे जाता हूँ या दराज पे जाता हूँ या बाकी e-commerce websites पे जाता हूँ, so I don't have to take out my card every time and then enter my card details and then worry. I think although this should not be the case because this is what I do for a living, but on certain websites, सामान तो मैं order करना चाहता हूँ वहाँ से, ये खाना तो order करना चाहता हूँ, but card details नहीं डालना चाहता. So I end up opting for cash on delivery if they don't have EasyPaisa. So now you can just add your card into the EasyPaisa app. Right, currently वो debit card है, in some time soon credit cards भी होएगा. और फिर बाकी websites पे you can just use your EasyPaisa wallet. तो एक वो जो factor trust वाला, security वाला है, to some extent यहाँ से handle हो जाता है. बाकी जो एसन का पॉइंट था in terms of the whole experience के OTP आ रहा है, नहीं आ रहा, कहाँ आ रहा है, order एक ऐप में हो रहा है, payment दूसरी ऐप में authenticate हो रही है. Those are things that we, at least at EasyPaisa, are extensively working on to improve. And what we'll do is कि हम बजाय इसको खुद से करने के, we'll run it by you guys as well, take your feedback as well, because our teams already extensively work together, but इस पे भी हम will come forward and involve you in the process. So that's one thing, customer experience. And then of course, any motivation. In the absence of motivation, we have discounts and everything. There's another question, which is, it's very fashionable these days to talk about super apps or at the platform of platforms or an app of all apps. And it has been popular in some parts of the world. Both us and Daraz have a shareholder, Alibaba and Ant Financial, who does this very successfully in China. In other parts of the world, there are hits and misses. कहीं पे बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है, कहीं पे ये नहीं चल रहा. So the question I want to ask you is, you think in terms of, we have a couple of million users on our app, जो हर महीने आते हैं, अपने बिल पे करते हैं, पैसे भेजते हैं, और use case gaming की payment करते हैं, online payments करते हैं, etc. Do you think कि अगर हम discovery को एक super app में लेकर आएं, does not necessarily have to be EasyPaisa, there are others who are vying for the same spot as well. बजाय इसके, so discovery very similar to जैसे दराज कर रहा है for our segment, where we have export leftovers available to them there. We have DMart available to them right there. We have other essentials available to them. So we solve their discovery problem. And instead, so they can choose between going to Export Leftovers or Daraz, or just buying through the EasyPaisa super app or your mini app within EasyPaisa. What do you think? Let's hear from you, Umar. What do you think? This concept, does this hold promise as much as it has delivered in China, or we need to test it up? What are your thoughts?
यार देखो, I think obviously there is a huge opportunity और पूरी दुनिया में चल रहा है, तो पाकिस्तान में भी चलना चाहिए, but हमारे इंटीग्रेशन के इश्यूज आ जाते हैं हमेशा. So we had like क्या Jazz की जो ऐप, I don't remember the Jazz की ऐप के ऊपर भी इजी पैसा का स्टोर बना हुआ है, फिंजा के ऊपर भी बना हुआ है, but what happens is the inventory levels उनके सिंक नहीं होते. वो हम लोगों को जो मेन इश्यूज हैं. अब I have like more than 10-15,000 products and Daraz has, I don't even know how many products these guys have. तो मैं 10-15 हज़ार की, मुझे वो कहते हैं नहीं जी आप हमें एक जो लिस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स है 50 और 100 और whatever, आप हमें एक्सेल में उसको डिवाइड करके थोड़ा सा हमें एक पोर्शन दे दे और हम लोग इस पे बेचते हैं. अब उसमें इशू मेरे लिए ये है कि मैं उनके लिए इन्वेंट्री अपनी रिजर्व क्यों करूं यार, मेरी वेबसाइट पे बिकता है, व्हाई शुड आई गिव इट टू दीज गाइस? तो देयर इज अ सिंक इशू एंड दे आर नॉट solving the problem of syncing these apps with web stores, and I'm suffering because of that. So we need to be smart about these things. और अगर आपने सुपर ऐप बनानी है तो पहले इंटीग्रेशन तो उसकी पूरी कर लो with the website you are going to work with. So workability या scalability, देखो I wouldn't be comfortable with scaling that with the super app, because अगर मैंने manually अपनी inventory plus minus करनी है तो मैं इसको scale किस तरह कर सकता हूँ? So I think there is a potential, but there's a lot of work to be done before we take it to the next level. That's my 2 cents over.
Yeah, makes sense. Essen, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I generally agree with Omar as well. I mean, you've seen Kareem recently going into the super app space, and generally the mindset is that once you understand your customer, you can start giving a lot of services, and like you said, there's no one that does it better than Alibaba and Ant Financial. I mean, they know exactly when you're buying, what you're buying, what you're going to buy, and then telling you what to buy. So they have a full comprehensive understanding of what your needs are in life and being able to recommend it. And is that a need for every human being? Yeah, I think so. I think it's not just a need for a person in China. I think it's a need for most people, that if you could simplify my life while it's getting more complicated with, having to getting busy, taking, care of family, or going around running errands, or doing, whatever you want to do. If you can simplify my life by telling me what I need to know or what I should be doing, I think that's a general need for most human beings. But I also agree with Umar that it's again, and I think what he is also sensing is that the customer experience has to be very seamless. In this, it's just, if it's not integrated and the systems are not speaking to each other properly, again, it ruins the customer experience. If it ruins the customer experience, it's not working. There's something wrong with it.
Yeah, and I fully agree, because this is something that we're attempting to do at EasyPaisa, and we've tried a few things over the last year or so. And the conclusion is that, like Umar said, and like you said, without a scalable architecture, without a supreme developer experience, this is not going to fly. I mean, you can probably work with a few partners, jinke saath aap customized one-to-one makeshift arrangements kar lein. But if we really want to support the ecosystem and be an ecosystem player, so then the technology architecture plays an important role. So I don't think there is any disagreement here. But I just, ek aur mere sawal zehn mein aa raha hai ki we were talking about trust and customer experience and etc. And this is more from my personal anecdotal experience and what I've heard. One issue with these payments or with prepayments has been that customer trust कि जो product deliver करेंगे वही मिलेगी has also been an issue which has. So what do you think about that?
Essen, do you want to go with this
Yeah,
one?
sure. Yeah, for sure. I think there's two fundamental elements to that. One is the trust of the product, and second is the trust of the digital payment itself. Like I said, first and foremost, if there's a refund in a credit card or debit card, it should not take 35, 40 days. It should be very, very seamless. There should not be that ruins the trust element in using digital payments. And at the same time, I think when from a customer standpoint, it's super important for us to ensure that when a customer gets a product that they did not order, that the refunds are done very, very quickly. And that is, something, for example, at Daraz, if you want to return a product, any product can be returned within 7 days. If you order from Daraz Mall, it's within 14 days. And if you've paid on your digital, on your any of your methods, we refund it as soon as we've seen that you've returned the product. So the idea is that the way you get that sort of level of trust is you make sure that they can actually return it. But the SLAs that are there, even when a refund is processed, cannot be, like I said, they cannot be in the 10, 15, 20, 30 days. They have to be very rapid. So, what you've seen some organizations do is come up with a wallet, right? So today, if you order a COD order, we will refund it back into your Daraz wallet. If you order from Food Panda, for example, your order gets canceled, it'll go into your Panda Pay, right? So the idea there is that through the wallets, you can actually have faster refunds. And that's one of the reasons we launched our wallet. And actually, one of the reasons when you saw that 8.2x growth in the wallet usage, a big chunk of that came from Daraz wallet. And the reason that happened is because we could actually give refunds like this. Refunds did not have to take days and weeks. We could actually just say, okay, आप इस प्रोडक्ट से खुश नहीं है, आपने रिटर्न कर दिया, ये आपके पैसे हमने वॉलेट में डाल दिए, अगर आप निकालना चाहते हैं हम निकाल भी सकते हैं, या कुछ और खरीदना चाहते हैं तो आप वो खरीद सकते हैं. So that made it easier for customers to trust purchasing online. But like I said, it should not just be with the Daraz wallet. It should be the same with credit card, debit card, EasyPass, JazzCash. All the refunds should be very, very fast. Of course, there's you also have to keep in mind it's not just someone sitting in the back and just saying, okay, jaldi kar do, and you just reduce a number. There's a lot of risk associated with it, which is why it takes some time. But it's being done in 5 days in parts of the world. That means they're being able to assess risk in a much faster way. That means our target should be to assess risk in a faster way so we can do it. And if you get your refund in 4 or 5 days, I think most customers are fine with it. But in a country like Pakistan, where let's say until recently, okay, but your interest rate was, let's say 12% a year. If it takes you 45 days to get money back for
So I think SN is having a bit of problem with connectivity. But I think Umar, he is.
I agree with what SN has to say as well, because बात यही है कि with the trust issue, the customer needs to be sure that उसके पैसे मरेंगे नहीं यार. सबसे पहली बात यही है. और अगर ये digital wallets के through, if the exactly he is right कि digital wallet के through यही होता है कि ट्रांसफर पैसे उसी वक्त हो जाते हैं, 4-5 दिन के अंदर उसको पैसे मिल जाते हैं, तो उसको ये पता होता है कि चलो ये सिक्योर हो गए. एंड वी नीड टू वर्क ऑन दैट. और उसके अलावा आई थिंक द ओवरऑल जो ब्रांड की क्रेडिबिलिटी है, दैट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. सो फॉर अस आई वुड से कि वी गेट अबाउट 10 to 15% ऑफ आवर पेमेंट्स थ्रू डिजिटल पेमेंट्स. जो ऑर्डर्स हैं वो डिजिटल पेमेंट्स हैं. और हमारा जो कस्टमर रिटेंशन है या जो रिपीट कस्टमर है, दैट्स लाइक बिटवीन 60 to 70%. और हम लोग ट्रस्ट है तो 70% बंदे रिपीट हो रहे हैं ना. बट आवर फोकस इज नॉट ऑन डिजिटल पेमेंट्स बिकॉज हम लोगों को वो थोड़े से इश्यूज आ रहे थे. एज सून एज द कंपनीज जो हमारे पार्टनर्स हैं, इफ द सर्विस इज देयर, वी कैन हाइप अप द नंबर्स एंड वी कैन क्रिएट कि डिजिटली ज्यादा पैसे आने शुरू हो जाए. तो आई थिंक व्हेन योर ब्रांड इज गुड इनफ, यू डू नॉट हैव ट्रस्ट इश्यूज. देखो हम लोगों ने जो एक्सचेंज पॉलिसी 2014 के अंदर लेके आए, we were the first company in Pakistan, online or offline, to offer 30 days money back guarantee. हम पैसे रिफंड करते थे. बहुत से आइटम कहते थे आप अभी भी किसी स्टोर में जाते हो, खाड़ी में जाते हो, तो वो कहते हैं आप चीज वापस कर दो, हम आपके पैसे आपको नहीं देंगे, हम 3000 की लिए स्टोर क्रेडिट दे देंगे। तो हमने तो कहा यार आप पैसे वापस ले लो, और जो हमें हिट पड़ता था हम इजी पैसा के थ्रू ही करते थे, तो जो ट्रांजैक्शन चार्ज होता था वी यूज्ड टू टेक दैट, we used to pay for that transaction charge. So I think the brand's credibility depends a lot on creating that trust as well. And with this innovation of digital wallets, वो आपका ट्रस्ट जो रिफंड में है वो जल्दी हो जाता, तो वो और बेहतर हो जाता उस काम के अंदर. बट आई थिंक द ब्रांड्स credibility plays a very big role in getting that trust for digital payments.
I think I'd like to hear Essence thoughts on this, but before we go to Essence, एक तो ये चीज है कि you know, this is an interesting insight that for brands, vertical brands like Export Leftovers, brand की credibility plays probably a bigger role than anything else. But for a marketplace like Daraz, so brand credibility does play a role, but then because they're sellers, so the processes, because ये process मैंने recently experience किया है, the customer reviews, कितनी detail में review है, actual product की तस्वीरें लगी हुई हैं, star rating क्या है, comment छोड़े या नहीं छोड़े. And I see that Daraz, because I bought a couple of stuff, and Daraz does a lot of stuff in then encouraging those reviews. So I think that also then plays a role into developing that trust. I was looking for an office table recently, and I think by the end of it, I was only looking at sellers जिनके पास reviews थे, जहाँ customers ने feedback दिया हुआ था, actual products की तस्वीरें छोड़ी हुई थी. So maybe Ehsan, you can elaborate a bit on that. That how do you make sure that when a customer has bought something, whether the experience is good or bad, how do you make sure, and how do you then accept that the feedback could be good and bad both? How do you encourage customers to submit their reviews every time?
Yeah, I think we've actually launched programs recently which give monetary incentive for customers to actually review products. Because at the end of the day, what you have to also understand is that marketplaces survive on the fact that it's a peer-to-peer relationship, and that customers help in this marketplace by saying, whether this product is good or not, and also putting up pictures. So one thing we did last year, for example, is we launched image reviews, which had a very dramatic adoption rate, because it was very easy to just take a picture and comment on it. And I saw a funny one where someone ordered a toy for a cat, and then they were showing their cat playing with the toy.
Oh, oops. Yeah, that can happen. I think it dropped out.
User generated content is very important, और हम लोग भी काफी देर से customers को reviews के points देते हैं, मतलब reviews के पैसे देते हैं, voucher चला जाता है, but हम लोग तो काफी देर से like 2014 से ही कर रहे हैं कि customer को हर उसकी purchase के 8 दिन के बाद email जाती है, and he needs to write a review, and if he writes the review and shares it on Facebook, because we want people to have like, क्योंकि social proof है बड़ा important है. सबसे बड़ी बात हम लोगों ने ये भी देखा है कि social proof बहुत जरूरी है. If somebody buys it and then he tells it to 10 people, उसकी जो credibility है, rather than me putting an ad on Facebook, उसका फर्क ही बहुत ज़्यादा. तो अगर वो Facebook पे share करता है, तो we give him review लिखने के बाद वो share करता है, तो we give him a voucher. और फिर वो he can put photos on it as well. So UGC is very important, and that's where the Instagram bloggers come in. उससे बहुत ज़्यादा credibility बन रही है कि bloggers हम लोग खुद ही contact कर लेते हैं, और हम भी देखते हैं यार जिसकी 40,000, 20,000, 30,000 की following and he has a genuine following, so they do create a big impact in
I think यहाँ पे एक चीज that I'd like to mention, I'm glad Ehsan is back as well. So because like Ehsan said, Daraz wallet and Panda wallet and etc. So we're recently working with at least 2 to 3 of them, where we are building a solution के let's say अगर Daraz credits return करता है या refund करता है Daraz wallet में, the customer can then, in a couple of clicks, 2-3 clicks, convert that refund or transfer that refund or those loyalty points or those store credits into their EasyPaisa wallet, and then use an ATM to withdraw that money. So we'll see how that goes. So I think out of this need, there is an innovation that may come out. But we have a question from the audience, which is interesting, and let's see what you guys have to say about that. Because so we have a question from the audience where they've mentioned a startup which had 150,000 users. They had to pivot. They were in the ride-hailing space. They've had to pivot, and now they're going into the grocery space. So, but they had 150,000 customers in 9 months. I see, yes, and you're smiling there. So without any COD. From day one, they said no COD, prepayment only. We'll give you all the options, but you can only use our service if you prepay. So I know that was the frequency and the need or the necessity was much higher in that category. But the question from the audience is, can we as an industry do something as drastic as this? Okay, by prepayment, how do we kill COD? What is the big idea that we can adopt?
So I think it's too risky to do this for any e-commerce company. It's of course you will take a gamble, and you will say, okay, I will do this. Now we have actually tested it, and it's not like we haven't tested it. We will say, okay, if you're buying a product that's less than X rupees, you can only do a prepaid order, and you actually do dramatically see that the orders drop, because if you want to do prepayment only, you also need a customer base that has these prepayment methods. I mean, you look at today where you have 1% of the population has credit cards. Your wallets combined have 13 million. The two biggest wallets have 13 to 14 million active users. That's still nothing out of 220 million people. So if you're solving a problem for maybe an X 100,000 people, you could potentially do it. But when you're trying to solve a problem that is for the masses, for the millions, this is a reality. This is the ground reality, and you have to help in changing it and enabling that change. But if you just sort of pull the plug on it, it will be fine. But you're suddenly your market that you can cater to is shrunk significantly.
So basically, from what I'm hearing is, and I think I tend to agree that which holds true for many other disciplines of our country, that we're not really looking for a revolution here. We're looking for a more incremental approach or an incremental behavior change. क्योंकि I agree with you, ऐसे नहीं हो सकता है कल सुबह उठ के दराज कहे कि यार आप COD नहीं होगी, सिर्फ digital payment होगी. But then all the other things in the value chain, the adoption, the penetration of the digital financial instruments, the customer experience issues, they still exist. So that's not going to work for anyone. So before I move on to the next segment or the next topic, जो मुझे समझ आ रही है इसमें 3-4 बातें जो बड़ी हमने की हैं. एक तो ये है कि the current way of work where we're using marketing channels and discounting and the collaborations that we time to time do between e-commerce players and digital wallets, which includes EasyPesa and others as well. These need to continue. Discounting will not work forever, so maybe discounting needs to be replaced with a more active loyalty-based incentive program. And then the customer experience issues are key to solving the trust element. And in addition to customer experience, we talked about user-generated content, which could be reviews, influencers, etc., that are going to help solve the trust problem. And of course, then there's the regulatory tax angle as well. So, one question that I'd like to, in the interest of time, now get to. So, ये सब तो हम कर रहे हैं, and of course, we can do more. There's things that we can. I think anything and everything we're doing today can be done in a better way. But there are a lot of startups who are coming up. Some smaller, some bigger, some home-based. कोई grocery कर रहा है, कोई home-based food कर रहा है, कोई medicine कर रहा है. But they're stepping into this e-commerce category. What is your advice for both of you? Because I was just thinking, I am not, pardon my ignorance, but I don't think, Umar, you work with Daraz right now. You just focus on your vertical store, right?
We used to work with Daraz, लेकिन हम लोगों का फिर वही focus ज़रा lose हो गया, and we were getting a lot of traffic on the website. So we were not doing that much. अब फिर हम लोगों ने छोड़ दिया, but हम लोगों ने कहा we are doing a lot of energy on Daraz, but now we just started focusing on our own stuff. हम लोगों के और काफी ज़्यादा programs थे. which we wanted to work on. तो उसके अंदर भी यही वाला एक बहुत बड़ा issue है जो मैं आपको बता रहा था, inventory sync वाला. उसके भी pushes का थोड़ा सा
maybe one thing that can come out of this session is that we can you and Essen can have this conversation.
No, of course.
It is still an opportunity. But what would you tell? You just startups, you were a startup at some point. So you just startups e-commerce tackle करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं अब. They're setting up shop. What would you tell them to top 3 things to focus on?
यार सबसे पहली बात तो ये है कि we need to be solving a problem. बहुत ज़्यादा स्टार्टअप बड़े एम्बिशियस होते हैं, वो कहते हैं जी हमने गुची बन जाना है, हमने प्राडा बन जाना है, हमने $10 million की सेल करते नहीं है. And they're not solving a problem. Because मैं ये समझता हूँ कि स्टार्टअप का जो असल काम है कि जो हमारी एक चलते फिरते पूरे पाकिस्तान में प्रॉब्लम है, या मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा, मैं ये कहूँगा find a segment of the industry, of the people involved, और उस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करो, क्योंकि उसमें पैसे हैं. इतनी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, आप पहले प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करो. ब्रांड तो हर बंदा बना लेते, बट व्हाट डिफरेंशिएट्स विद यू. फॉर एग्जांपल मैं ईएलओ का छोटी सी एग्जांपल यही दूंगा यार. मेरी फैक्ट्री के अंदर ही हम एक कनेडियन कंपनी के साथ काम कर रहे थे. कनेडियन कंपनी ने हमें $2-3 लाख का ऑर्डर दिया. ऑर्डर देने के बाद पैसे भी आधे हमने एडवांस दे दिए, $1.5 लाख, और कंपनी होगी बैंकक्रप्ट. अब हमने उसका माल बना दिया सारा, और $1.5 लाख मेरे पास पड़ा. अब $1.5 लाख मैंने उसे और लेना है. अब मैं क्या करूँ? कंपनी बैंकक्रप्ट है. And we couldn't sell it to anyone because they had their tags on it. तो मैं पाकिस्तान या यूरोप में तो कहीं बेच नहीं सकता था. पाकिस्तान में अगर लॉटियो को बेचने जाता, वो $5 या $4 की हमने वो चीज एक्सपोर्ट करनी थी. इधर मुझे $100 रेट लग रहा था. तो that was the problem. Our company was having a problem कि यार हम लोगों ने एक चीज के ऊपर $4-5 इन्वेस्ट कर दी है, मार्केट में वो $100 की बिक रही है. What can we do? और फिर उसी तरीके से हमें यह भी पता चल गया कि पाकिस्तान में बहुत सा कंज्यूमर इस तरह का बैठा हुआ है जो एक इंपोर्टेड या ब्रांडेड चीज लेना चाहता है, बट दे कैन नॉट फाइंड इट, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान के अंदर वो करीम ब्लॉक नहीं जाना चाहते, वो ज़ैनब मार्केट नहीं जाना चाहते. देयर इज अ ह्यूज सेगमेंट ऑफ द मार्केट जो वो उन जगहों पे जाना ही नहीं चाहती. वो कहते हैं हमारे लिए कन्वीनियंट ही नहीं है. तो वी ब्रॉट ऑल दैट लेफ्ट ओवर इंडस्ट्री ऑनलाइन, एंड देयर वाज सच अ गैप. तो explore those gaps and work on those gaps and try to solve a problem. तो मेरी तो यही एडवाइस होगी.
Yeah, that's sound advice. Essen, you have a very different role in this value chain. So what would you say? What is your advice to these startups?
Yeah, I think it's there's always a chicken and egg between getting capital and innovation. And I think one of the things that was highlighted by Omar is always chasing what the customer really wants. And really, and I actually very much agree with this. Is a lot of the successful startups you've seen, that have raised money in Pakistan have really found big problems. And the one beautiful thing about Pakistan is there's a lot of big problems, and it's actually a great thing because you can find a lot of big problems and you can come up with innovative solutions. And it's not, sometimes people get lost in what is only their problem, and I think it was very fortunate for Umar that it was his problem that eventually got him to build a business out of it. But a lot of times we have to really start focusing on what are the masses being affected by. You look at mass transit today, which has gotten a lot of funding in the last 12 to 18 months, and maybe not even 18, just in the last 12 months. And the reason is because it's a big problem for people, and it's a big problem for the masses. So we have a big population, we have a young population, and they're a population that has lots of problems. So I think it's just making sure you sort of focus on those.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so there's a question from the audience. So the question is, and I think we touched upon it earlier a little bit. Okay, if you were to pinpoint, one issue, what is the biggest hurdle do you think we need to fix or cross to ensure widespread use of digital payments for e-commerce transactions?
Cost. To me, it's cost and user experience, the two biggest things.
Yeah, I agree. Umar?
I would say cost in a way ke jis tarah wo I would say cost and User experience, trust, I would say the same thing as well. क्योंकि वही है कि आपने trust, you have to trust the digital solution which you are giving, or वही customer service, or I would agree. I would agree with the same angle.
Well, and I agree as well. I think with that, unless we get any more questions from the audience, the last thing to conclude before I summarize would be that another thing which is interesting and which we haven't talked about is कि जो as e-commerce players आप लोग काम कर रहे हैं अपनी value chain में digital payments introduce कराने की. So I know we very actively work with Export Leftovers now, जहाँ पे इनके staff की salaries, incentives, customer के refunds, you know, they're adopting digital solutions and they're using within their value chain as well. And I know, Essen, that we have active conversations with your team as well. So I think in terms of this behavior change, one thing also could be that inward-looking value chains of our e-commerce partners are some things that we can go and talk to them about and see and help them digitize their payment flows as well. So, yeah. So with that, I think, you know, this brings us to end of the promised time, unless one of you wants to touch upon any other topic, that anything else that can help us, if there's a magic pill which can help us increase digital payments or help me meet my quarterly targets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, and I think we've talked about the hurdles that hopefully we can overcome. But I would also just say that I think that there's a lot of sense of, you know, which direction should I go in? What should I do? And there's generally in these times, there's a lot of negative energy within people, and it's normal. It's not that it's first of all, it's okay to have that, and we have to accept that that is completely normal. But it's also very important for us to focus on being positive, but getting you know, stuff done, and you know, there's a lot of platforms, whether it's like Daraz, whether it's Food Panda by Kia Kareem, or whether you want to start your own website, you know, like Umar did. But the hardest part is getting off your behind and getting it done, and making sure that you really hustle and put in that best foot forward every day. I'm sure, you know, Umar has millions of stories of difficult nights to go through, as does Daraz, as does every company that has made it anywhere. But it's just, I think a lot of times we sort of get lost in what should I do, and then we don't actually get it done. So I would just say that away from just a digital universe or digital payments universe, I think it's just a matter of sort of making sure that we focus on getting things done.
Yeah. So we have a couple of questions from the audience, which are interesting. I'll start with an e-commerce related question first. The question is that, is there a global e-commerce platform that you look up to, that you think you could, or as an industry, you could learn from?
Sorry, I got a call right in the middle, so you got cut off. Can you ask that one more time?
So the question is that, is there a global e-commerce platform that you look up to, or a platform where, you know, we could learn?
Yeah, I've heard of one. It's called Alibaba.
So yeah, so that's easy, no, at least two of us.
No, but there's a lot of, look, there's a, you know, you look at a lot of the great things that Amazon has done. You have to learn from the best in their respective areas, right? I think Alibaba is number one in lots of things, and then there's companies like Amazon that are number one in lots of things. I think what you know, you have to be able to learn from all those. But I think we're actually very fortunate that we are owned by Alibaba, because we get a lot of knowledge from them.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. Umar, what about you? Because these are both marketplaces, Alibaba and Amazon. But in terms
for us, like I quite like this company called Gymshark, which started off like 2012-13 when I was starting off as well. Or वो भी Shopify based company, and they get in about $300 million in sales every year, and it's like a 6-year-old company, and it was started by a 19-year-old guy. और उसकी जो story है और उसकी जो सारी कहानी है, that inspires me a lot, because similar background, similar time, similar platforms, and he had to go through all those struggles which I did, and he has become a worldwide brand by just focusing on one industry. और उसके अंदर हम लोग ये भी बहुत चीजें ये देखते हैं कि you need to focus on getting up. Us puri company ki success is the ambassadors he got, the athletes he got, because Gymshark focuses on gym wear. तो वो यही था कि वो बंदे ने कहा कि यार जिम वाले कपड़े, मैं जिम जाता हूँ, मुझे इस तरह की चीजें नहीं मिलती, and he started getting in these influencers to wear his clothes and put it online, put it on Facebook, put it on YouTube, and he curated such a big audience कि हम लोगों को पता ही नहीं था. तो हम लोग, एक और चीज है कि we don't really work on our audience. हमें पता ही नहीं होता कि हमारी audience क्या है. We don't put in the time and effort to build the brand. तो वो एक चीज के ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा मैं भी कोशिश करता हूँ. And I'm like, because I have become from export leftovers which was just using my father's factory, कि हम लोग की जो टी-शर्ट्स बचती थी उसके बाद अब हम लोग इस तरह ग्रो कर गए हैं कि अब जीन्स भी हम लोग बेचने लग गए हैं, जूते भी बेचने लग गए हैं. Whoever has a leftover in Pakistan, अगर एक जूते की फैक्ट्री है और उसका leftover बच गया है, तो he comes to me and he says कि यार ये एक्सपोर्ट नहीं हो सकता, मैंने लोकल भी बेचने की कोशिश कर दी है, नहीं बिकता, तो मेरी अपनी वेबसाइट पे लगा के बेच दे. तो I'm still trying to curate audience for these different segments. But what I want to point out is Gymshark has done it beautifully for the segment he sells the products to, जिसकी वजह से वो इतना successful brand बना.
Very interesting. And then I think the last question, and then we can wrap up, is, and I've heard this question for the longest time. I'm not sure if there's a right answer to it. Maybe there is. The question is, do you think one can learn to be an entrepreneur, or is it just something that you're born with?
Umar, do you wanna take that first?
यार ये तो मैं बड़ा मुश्किल सवाल है, and I don't know how to answer it, but I'll say become an entrepreneur. तो यार देखो बहुत से बंदे सारी जिंदगी नौकरी करते हैं और उसके बाद वो entrepreneur बन जाते हैं. I think it's the drive. It's like if you, वही अगर problem solving वाली अगर आपके अंदर आते हैं, अब I don't know if problem solving is can you learn it or आप naturally born होते हो, तो दोनों चीजें हैं यार. आप यूनिवर्सिटी या ग्रुप प्रोजेक्ट्स करके वो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स को सीख भी सकते हो, और कुछ लोगों को innate abilities बचपन से ही genetics में भी होती हैं. तो I think it's a combo of both, but for me the most important thing is the drive. It's like if you want to do it, you will do it. जो मर्जी हो यार, आपने करना है, आप कर लेते हो वो चीज. बहुत से बंदे तो यार accidental entrepreneur ही बनते हैं ना. They are just like looking for something and they do it. तो मैं इस चीज को ये कहूँगा कि different examples हैं इसकी. कुछ बॉर्न होते हैं, कुछ सीख के करते हैं, कुछ 50 साल की उम्र में जाके बनते हैं एंटरप्रेन्योर. तो आई थिंक देयर इज नो डेफिनेट आंसर फॉर दैट. कोई भी डेफिनेट आंसर मेरे पास तो नहीं है इस चीज का.
Yeah, I think my thought is, I think though you can learn, you can learn anything. There's something that's very different in entrepreneurs, and Umar described it very well, is that drive and hustle. Is that there's just relentlessness that is just, it's innately there, but if you want to learn it, that means you clearly have some drive to learn it. And you just, so that in itself, I think, is a very positive sign, is that you want to learn how to do it, and that drive is what really fuels you. You learn elements of it. And I also do believe that successful businesses they don't come with a recipe, but every founder has a recipe. And that's why you look at a lot of people that have started successful businesses, they do it again and again and again, because they have a recipe that they've discovered. And I think one of the key ingredients in that recipe is that that relentless hustle, and just not taking no for an answer, not giving up. Because if there's anything an entrepreneur knows is that times always get tough at some point. And you always, you have to know how to manage your cash flows, and there will be times when you will be wondering if you're going to meet payroll. And entrepreneurship is a very difficult life. So you have to have that patience within you to thrive and to persist through those difficult times, because those difficult times do come, and they will come.
I think because there's another angle to it, and which is compared to you guys, I work for a corporation per se. So I think the core capacity or the skill for being an entrepreneur are the two things that you both pointed towards. The tenacity or the drive and the patience. And this is I don't think you can only be an entrepreneur if you have your own business or on your own startup. You could actually be an entrepreneur in a corporate as well. मतलब सारे अगर ELO बनाना शुरू कर देंगे तो दराज में कौन काम करेगा, इजी पैसा में कौन काम करेगा? Because a lot of the innovations that are driven in our companies are driven by individuals who have a very entrepreneurial mindset. If they find a problem, वो रात उनको नींद नहीं आएगी तो problem solve नहीं होगी. They own it. They make sure कि वो solve होती है. And then these are the individuals who become industry leaders as well. So there are, of course, entrepreneurs, and then there are industry leaders, but the core fundamental behaviors or capacities जो हैं वो more or less similar हैं. In fact, there's this article or book. There's an article and a book. The article is by Wharton. And surprisingly, for me at least, the average age of successful entrepreneurs is not 19 or is it not early teens. It's actually early 40s, because by that time they have the social capital, they have the financial capital, and then they also have patience in dealing with the different situations that life throws at you. Those who, like Umar was mentioning, those who start at 18 or 19 can also become big hits, but there's smaller in number. So I think in conclusion, I would say it can absolutely be learned as long as you have the drive and the patience. And with that, I think yeah. Okay, so that was the last question. So with that, I would like to thank you both. This was very interesting. I made some notes where things which you said are important to you are also important to me, us as well at EasyPaisa. So we'll take these conversations offline and see what we can do about it. So thank you very much, Ehsan, for taking out time. Thank you, Umar. And thank you everybody in the audience for joining us. And hopefully we'll come back with an equally interesting panel and topic for our next digital dialogue as well.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Ehsan.
Thank you.
Thank you.